personally, it was just magic, like, you know, to be honest. I mean, I never thought I'd have that sensation again. And to have it and to have it done and to be sure that it was nailed on, it wasn't going to be taken off you was the key thing, you know. I mean, it was just brilliant. I mean, I remember my legs were slightly weak. I just went down on my knees and I thought, we've won the final again. Like, you know, this is just amazing. And for the younger fellas as well then, to see all them, like, this is the start of their careers, you know, and hopefully 2010 won't have been the end, but that's another chapter, I suppose. But just for them guys to come on and have won All-Ireland in the first 2 or 3 years of being involved is just massive, because they've no real baggage. I remember I was involved for 6 years before we won an All-Ireland, and the amount of baggage you pick up over that time, you know, of the heartache and all the disappointment and all this, oh, it'll be next year, it'll be your year, you know. Just for those guys as well to get this start is fantastic for them.
Your heart sinks, to be honest, you know. Very little that's said to you at that time can make up for the disappointment and the heartache that you feel losing in All-Ireland. Pretty much you're just standing there in the middle of Croke Park on your own, and you're just thinking to yourself like that it's gone. You know, you had a chance to be part of history, and it was just taken away from you really in the space of 70 minutes, you know. But it was the first senior All-Ireland that I tasted defeat in, and you know, it's definitely not a feeling that I want to kind of go back and experience in the near future.
On a great day for Tipperary, Christy Cooney, the GA president, hands over the cup to Owen Kelly, the Premier County are the top county in hurling for 2010. What a day to be a Tipperary hurling fan, a ticker tape reception. Well, this is what we wanted to see, an opportunity to properly celebrate the captain receiving the cup.
I think to stand up there, to have your teammates on the steps beside you, I could see them all the time when I was giving the speech, and even when I accepted the cup, I remember distinctly looking towards them, and I don't know what I was saying to them, but I think when you do know all the hard work as a squad you've went through for that 3 years under that management team, that special feeling is just exactly what you want.
I walked around a Cahirlig, a Dina Usla, August Luke Dimon Eata, Tan Osarm and Cornshaw, Ardu, Edison Fern, August Winter, Tipperary.
I had obviously the small bit of Irish prepared from the night before, and I just didn't want to leave anybody out. That was the one thing I was determined not to leave anybody out, so I had those few words prepared. But after that, then, I just said I'd go off the cuff. I think once you speak from the heart and maybe speak how you feel, you can never go too far wrong.
It's a great honour for me as a Tipperary man to accept the Lee McCarthy Cup on behalf of a massive, excellent Tipperary squad and the people of Tipperary. "2009 is dead and buried. 2010 is truly alive."
You know, Owen, typical of the man, you know, I don't actually know where he found the energy to give such a speech at the end of the game, because he'd worked tirelessly hard throughout the game, but a fabulous speech, and, you know, typical of the guy. I mean, he's a brilliant captain, and to be the first man from South Tipperary to go and bring the cup back into Tipperary, I think was a very special moment for his family and his club and everyone in Tipperary, and he was a huge player for Tipperary over the last number of years.
It's been a long journey that probably started not this year, but I go back as far as 2008 when this squad got together. I'd like to think that we created our own identity. Our characters and our personalities came through, not only today, but in the last 3 years. All those things I've already mentioned: professionalism, honesty, organisation. The next man, what can any of us say, guys? He came in when the ship was sinking, but by God is this ship sailing today, all the way from Port Row. Our Messiah, our leader, Liam Sheedy. Just to finish up, the Tipperary supporters, I don't think you're the best in the country, you're the best in the world.
In 2001, we got the cup down on the pitch, and it was just, I won't say a disaster because we won the All-Ireland, it was great, but it certainly, it wasn't going up the steps, right, because since I was 2 or 3 years of age and able to understand what going up steps meant to collect the cup, that's what it's all about, you know. And going up the steps to the Hogan stand to collect it is just the be-all and end-all for me, and that was my first time experiencing it. It was amazing. I'd always wondered what the sensation would be like, but just completely miles above anything I could have ever dreamed of, to be honest.
Last year we were looking up at it, and I suppose there was a lot of other years I was sitting at home on the couch looking at it and picturing, like, you know, will we ever get back there? Will we, like, you know, in 2001, it was that it? And I suppose when you're looking at teams up there collecting the cup, you always try to picture yourself, like, will we ever get back there? Is there a possibility? And you can't say to yourself there is. You have to hope, like, it's hope, but you have to try and have a belief, like, but thank God, like, you know, we did.
The hurt and disappointment of last year was still there with the supporters, and I suppose they really grasped on to this management team and this squad, that we were working for one another, you know, on and off the field, and our teamwork, I think, was just there for everyone to see. And you know, the one thing Liam Sheedy had instilled in us is that no one ever gave up to the final whistle, and that was evident against Galway. So I think once you have that in any team, supporters will follow and know that it's a genuine team, and that's exactly what we had. The dressing room was mad. When we got back into the dressing room, I think that's when we really let the shackles off, because we were together, and, you know, as I said, everyone knew what it meant, like, you know, but the dressing room was maddest dressing room I'd say I was ever in. And I remember Brian Cody coming into the dressing room and he says, lads, you've won the All-Ireland, I can see you're enjoying it, believe me, enjoy every minute of it, because these days are special, you know. And to even hear the losing manager coming in saying those things, it just probably goes to show what a great sportsman and manager he is too, and there's something I'll always remember as well.
I mean, the hurt that was on those Kilkenny players' faces, the one thing that sticks out in my mind after it. I mean, I've 2 All-Irelands now at this stage in hurling, 15, 16 years. They'd won 7 and 10 years. And they were as upset and crying as if it was their first All-Ireland and no chance of ever winning one again. You know, so whether that was a warning to me for 2011 or not, I don't know. But it's certainly the hurt that those guys were experiencing, like, just to see him in through the helmets, like, you know, it was just showed, I suppose, the calibre of player and person that they have below in Kilkenny, you know, and something that's been respected.
Yeah, it's a great family occasion, you know, and Aisling, I don't know whether she knows the steward in Croke Park or whatever, but she still manages to sneak out. Poor old Gemma wasn't as fortunate. She was left in the stand, but you know, when you get after the game and you get to go back to Margaret and the 2 kids, it's really, really nice. And as you said, family days for the last 3 years have been hurling matches, so, you know, they've gone the length and breadth of the country watching the games. And I think for all of the families, you know, it is nice to be able to meet your family afterwards. And as I said, you know, it's great when you get the chance to come back in and, you know, to have the cup in your hands.
Afterwards then, and my wife Pamela was the first person I was looking for, and I got to meet her then later on after we came down after the cup. I went up along the side actually, and the stewards, to be fair, were great, you know. Well, not did much choice, I had a hurling in my hand, so I jumped the wire and jumped the fence thing there up and got to go in to see her, like, you know. So that's it, we got to meet family like that, so it wasn't that detached from them either, you know.
The future is bright for Kilkenny hurling, I've no doubt about that. There's underage talent coming there that's unbelievable, you know, and I think everyone on this year's panel is still going to be hungry for more success next year, you know, so it's just a matter of getting back training in the 1st of January and really taking it from there. And, you know, if tasting defeat in an All-Ireland final can't make you hungrier and wanting more success, I don't know what will.
Kilkenny are the best team we have probably seen in any decade in the Hurling Championship. Just, I suppose, the way we perform that day is the happy thing. You know, we just probably done to Kilkenny what Kilkenny have been doing to a lot of teams, and everybody admires that kind of hurling, you know, and Kilkenny were absolutely unbelievable champions, you know, and they're still a great team, but I think it's just that we just really got stuck in from the very start and chased everything down, and I think that was the 20 players that we used on the day. You know, there was no one man you'd single out, and I think that's the thing that most Tip supporters are very happy with.
They win in the final, like, you know, like, that's what we went up for. Like, if we were to lose that final and I would score a hat-trick, naturally enough we would have been all disappointed coming home in the bus. So no matter what happened of who scores what, the final, All-Ireland final is really the one, and winning it. That's the most important thing. Scoring a hat-trick is perfect, but as I said, and I mean it, is what can I offer the team?
A lot of players have an awful lot of mileage on the clock, you know. Super players who have given terrific service and have had great success and have tasted disappointment along the way, which contributed to the success they've had, and also obviously tasted disappointment this year. They have a lot of hurling done, and they're not. A lot of them now are 30 and heading past 30. And, you know, you just don't know. You don't know for sure what exactly the future is going to hold for them. You know, they're leaving a terrific legacy, and you know, Derek obviously stepped off the panel there. And, you know, players like that, you don't replace them very, very easily. And it's going to be interesting to see. It's a great challenge right now. But I'm not suggesting for 1 second that we're not going to be competitive. We're going to be competitive, I would say. But it's going to be an interesting year from Kilkenny's point of view. And we'll have to wait and see how things go.
I love what I do. You know, I really, really enjoyed the last 3 years. It's been a hugely enjoyable experience being, you know, when you get a chance to work with the elite players in Tipperary and try and bring the best out of each other. And, like, you know, every bit as much as I brought the best out of them, they've brought the best out of me as well. And it's always tough decision. But, you know, we are where we are. The country is, you know, we've got to look after the day job. And it is literally a full-time job. And it's just, you know, you've got to make sure that if you're involved in something, I would never attempt to do anything that I couldn't give 100%. And, you know, just the climate that we're in, you know, my role in Bank of Ireland needs 100%, and that's what it'll get. But, you know, in terms of the learning I got for dealing with those players for the last 3 years, money couldn't buy what I got. It's priceless.